Alright, so this is episode 2 of Craic. And
Craic. Are we gonna call it Craic or Craic?
I don't know, man. What do you want to do? I feel like we should stick with Craic just because it sounds better, I think.
Craic.
I think it sounds better
Well,
than
I think
saying
that's how
crack,
people
are
will
gonna
pronounce
like,
it anyways.
Yeah, I feel like
Pronounce
people are
it
going to be
Craic.
like super like confused if we call it crack.
Yeah.
And they're like... So,
today we're talking about crack.
alright, should I just mention real quick that it's pronounced crack, but we're just going to call it Craic?
I don't think it really matters.
Okay.
We'll just call it Craic. Nobody will know.
Alright.
Nobody will look it up.
Yeah.
Probably not. I don't know.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to our second episode of Craic, or however you want to pronounce that, I guess. Anyways, this show is once again all about having a fun, entertaining conversation about whatever topic we feel like discussing, or whatever you feel like discussing. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave something in the comments or something about that. So hopefully we can have something new for you pretty much each and every time. This episode though, we are going to be talking about video games, and we're going to try to keep it a little bit more generalized and talk about our personal experience with video games. And we have been playing video games for quite a long time now.
Yeah.
For myself, I probably started when I was around 7 years old. I think that's probably when I got my first video gaming system, which was a Super Nintendo. And that was probably one of the best days of my life. I think it was on Christmas when I got that, and it was like super awesome. Got a couple of games with it, and my favorite game was the Super Mario World. I think it came with it, I'm not sure. But anyways, that was one of the first games that I played, and that was an awesome experience. It's the 2D Mario platformer. If you haven't played it, you're missing out, because that is still like one of my favorite games. I love that game so much, and just a really cool like platformer game and everything.
Yeah.
So,
I still remember that when you got it, because I don't think we ever got one of those systems. We got Nintendo 64 instead.
Okay, was that your first one then?
I'm pretty sure that was our first one, and
we all had the Game Boys, right? You had the regular Game Boy?
Yeah, I don't remember how old we were when we got those, though.
Yeah, probably.
I remember it started out with like those big ones where you have to buy like the screen with the lights and stuff.
We had all these different attachments for it, right? The magnifying glass thing.
You need like a whole backpack to like hold them all and attach them.
So talk a little bit about the N64, man. That was an awesome system.
Yeah, I remember my favorite games were probably also, they had the Mario 64.
Yep.
As well as
classic.
Another one of my favorite was probably GoldenEye.
Okay. Yeah, that game's awesome.
We usually would play that game together. That was probably one of the only games my dad would play with us, because he really liked picking on us like that. But I mean, besides that, I remember playing also like the first Mario Kart. Or I don't know if it was the first
Super Nintendo,
one. Yeah,
Mario Kart.
On Super Nintendo.
Yeah, that was like the first one.
Which was one of my favorite games as well. So
I mean, love that game.
They brought some of these games back later. Like I remember, I also got my DS had Super Mario 64.
Okay.
And,
nice.
We would play that sometimes. But what was kind of like the thing that got you into like serious gaming?
After Super Nintendo, I didn't really have any other systems until GameCube, but closely after that was probably pretty early on we started getting into some PC gaming and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think the first like PC game that I got that was actually like internet multiplayer based, was probably Battlefield, and we got like super into the Battlefield 1942, and that game was just awesome because it was one of the first times that we were able to play with each other and with other people on the internet. You know, so we were able to play with people, you know, all over the country and everything, and get into these like super cool, intense first-person shooter games where it's just like a war and everything. So that was super cool.
That was actually, I think that was the first like competitive multiplayer game that I played as well.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I remember probably the most is when we actually formed clans and, you know, would actually have real competitions. So, I mean, looking back at it, it's kind of hard to believe that we actually met, you know, random people over the internet when we were like 10 years old or whatever, 13. And then we actually played against other people on the internet.
A lot of them were older than us too, right?
Yeah.
So we're like these little
the annoying little kids playing first-person shooter games.
But a lot of times it's the little kids, right, that are like the best at these games,
yeah.
even though they can be annoying to play with.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was the first thing that I really remembered. I never really played. Some of the ones that some of my friends were into were like Call of Duty and stuff like that, but I never really got into Call of Duty. For some reason.
I got into Call of Duty a little bit. It was just the Call of Duty and Battlefield fans kind of fought between each other, so it was almost like a war between Call of Duty and Battlefield to see which first-person shooter would reign supreme. And so there's kind of been a little bit of conflict between the two games ever since then, really. So I guess it still kind of goes on. And you know, they're two different games, and they're both a lot of fun. I have fun playing both of them, but whatever. We're not here to start a war or anything.
Start arguing about it.
But Battlefield was the first one I think that we got into, and had a ton of fun with that, getting into clans and some serious like competitive gaming and stuff. After that though, the next big game would have been Battlefield 2. When that came out, that was kind of like huge because there wasn't anything else that was like a modern day shooter.
Yeah.
Right? And
that was probably the first one that I got really into and serious about.
Yeah. We got like really good at that game.
Yeah.
You especially, man. You had some serious skills with your bunny hopping and everything.
The annoying things.
Yeah.
Yeah, the glitches. Well, they're not, I don't know if they're glitches, but they're things that people would do, like bunny hopping or using the noob tube with the assault rifles.
Yeah, that's probably your favorite.
But, well, did you ever actually play like Halo or anything like that? Or did you stick with mostly PC around that time?
You know, I've been pretty into PC ever since I started, but there were times when I couldn't afford, you know, the latest PC and graphics and everything. So when that would come about, I would usually just go the cheaper route of getting the console, right?
Yeah.
That's a little bit cheaper and easier to get, and so then all you got to do is buy the games and, you know, stick them into the console and away you go. So that's always been an easier, cheaper alternative to PC gaming. And so Halo was definitely a game that I got into for quite some time. We got the Xbox 360 maybe a year or two after it came out, and Halo was definitely one of the biggest games for that, of course. I think it was Halo 3, and my brother and I, we got pretty serious into that game as well. We got a little bit of a clan going and everything, did some competitive gaming with that. That's definitely a real cool game, especially for the consoles and everything. It just works perfectly with the controls and everything, and the whole space shooter aspect to it was definitely a cool futuristic type of twist to the first-person genre. So that was definitely pretty cool. Pretty cool game.
I remember one of the big battles as well, besides like the Battlefield Call of Duty battle, it was like kind of like the thing where people would say, oh, the Xbox is better than the PC, or I have more skill than you than the PC because I play on Xbox. Exactly. And I remember Halo was actually I think it was after the first one that since there's like this battle, at one point Microsoft let one of the Halo games, I think it was like Halo 2 or something, at the very beginning they let PC players play against Xbox players. And I remember that one of my friends was talking about it, and he said at some point Microsoft had to stop letting them play each other because the PC gamers would just destroy them every time.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. You definitely get more precision with the mouse for sure. That is interesting.
Being able to relative direction isn't very accurate a lot of the time. So.
Some people still get pretty good though with those controllers and everything.
Yeah.
So
that's why I never really got into console gaming. Cause
I wasn't
able to.
I started to lean towards that for a little bit of time because I found it more challenging actually. Because I was getting so used to that PC gaming and getting used to the precision of the mouse and everything that a lot of times I found it very easy to own in a game, right? And to rack up a high score and everything. And so to kind of handicap myself, I wanted to try playing with the other controllers from an Xbox or something and handicap myself a little bit. And it was a little tougher experience. Everybody was on a little bit more even playing ground,
But I mean, those are the things that kind of make it fun. Everybody kind of, or at least I, get bored of games kind of once I start to beat them.
Right.
Once I get to a level where it's not really a competition anymore, whether it's like a single player game or a multiplayer game, it kind of gets old and you want to try something new. So that's always something that I, have kind of set as my standard of when to kind of move on to the next game.
Right. Did you own any other consoles besides the N64? Did you guys ever get any other ones?
The main ones that we used were the Nintendo 64, and then we got the GameCube, we got the PlayStation 2, and then we got Xbox, which I never really played. And then besides that, we didn't really do much console gaming. Most of it was done on the computer.
Right. So the one other really cool thing about the console gaming, and something I still miss to this day, even though I still have consoles, you just don't a lot of times get that personal interaction with the people next to you, because when you're doing PC gaming, it's all through the internet, and it's still cool to use the PC gaming because there's other ways to have that connection through headsets and stuff. And, different applications that allow you to talk directly to the other person, but it still doesn't quite compare to those old days of playing Mario Kart or 007 when you got four people sitting right next to each other and you're shooting each other talking trash right next to each other, and those were definitely some good times.
Well, one of my favorite ones was probably Rock Band. When we would actually play Rock Band together. We could stay up all night playing Rock Band, just belting out those songs and jamming on the drums and everything. Those were probably some of my favorite.
Yeah, we got
gaming
into
times.
Guitar Hero a little bit too, but once Rock Band came around and really allowed four people to really jump in and pretend they are a band, right, and play all the different instruments and sing and whatever else. That just took it to a whole nother level, in my opinion. It wasn't just about perfecting your instrument and being just like this monster on the guitar who could just perfect and ace every single song. Even though you could still do that with Rock Band, it became more about the atmosphere and the relationship that you could build.
And less of a competition too.
Yeah.
More of like a working together to try to finish the song.
Trying to work together until you can't get to the 5 stars at the end, then you start blaming each other. No, you just It was Michael and my brother actually got really good at their instruments. My brother got really good. You got good at all the instruments, really. Well, you got good at all of them, really.
At the end.
My brother was really good at drumming. He actually plays the drums, so I think that was just natural for him. and you got really good at the guitar too. For me, I am not an instrumental person at all. I don't play any instruments, and I have no rhythm or anything. So I would try to sing or play the bass on like medium difficulty. That was like the best I could do. But yeah, you guys got like really good. That was a lot of fun to play.
Yeah. It is fun, and I don't know. It's kind of like easy way to kind of socialize without socializing,
right?
Because you have something to do while you're together,
right? That's the whole point of video gaming, right? So we don't have to actually interact with each other.
Yeah,
we can just pretend.
Prevent those long silences with your friends, just like chilling around.
Right.
But, yeah. So that's kind of our past of. Do you have anything to add about the past of what you're doing, or do you want to talk about what gaming you're into now?
Just to go through real quick, my consoles were, I had a couple of the Game Boys, the different iterations of that, and then there's just been a billion different Game Boys, right?
Yeah.
So eventually I got some kind of Game Boy, different kinds, and I had the Super Nintendo. I did not get the N64, unfortunately. That was an awesome console. I did get the GameCube, and one of my favorite games on that was Resident Evil 4, which was just an awesome game, and it was about zombies or these people who were infected by some kind of virus and being controlled by it. But that was a super cool one-player game. So, but it had a really good story and everything, and really good gameplay and everything. And then after the GameCube, I think was the PlayStation 2. We eventually got that. Then we eventually got the Xbox 360 and the PS3. That was the latest console that I ended up getting, which was probably, again, a year or two after it actually came out. We always wait for the big price drop before we jump into that. And I can't say there's like a favorite game for the PS3. I never really played that much of it, actually. I just got, with the PS3, I focused on getting a lot of the single-player games for that. With the Xbox 360, that's where all my friends were and everything, so I focused on getting a lot of the multiplayer games for the 360, and then a lot of the single-player games for the PS3. But there were definitely a lot of cool ones, like Uncharted and even The Last of Us, which is a newer game. So a lot of those single-player games, and I had a lot of fun with that. With PC gaming, though, I'm still doing that, and where I'm at now is we're kind of getting into these esports type of games, and more specifically the MOBA genre, the MOBA genre, and basically what that is this online competitive gaming where it's kind of like a mix between an RTS, real-time strategy, and an RPG, role-playing game. What does the MOBA actually stand for? It's multiplayer online battle arena, I think,
arena,
right?
Yeah, battle arena.
And it's basically this top-down bird's-eye view on this map where two teams of 5 people will go at it and battle each other to try to kill each other and then take out certain objectives to try to destroy your opponent's main objective. Two of the big games out there right now are Dota 2 and League of Legends. Dota 2 stands for Defense of the Ancients 2, and they're very similar games. I would say Dota is a little bit more of a strategic, slow-paced game, even though they both have a lot of strategy in it. But League of Legends is a little bit more twitch-based gaming, more quicker reaction and based like that. So you got more into League of Legends. I was a little bit more into Dota 2 until recently. I decided I just didn't have the time for Dota 2, and League of Legends was just a little bit more fun to be able to jump into that. Do you want to talk a little bit about your experience with League?
One of the things that I really liked about League, for example, is I have friends already that play it, so I really like being able to, jump into games with other people. It's not as much fun when you're just, sitting in your room all by yourself, lights off, and you're just like a cave playing, against random people on the internet. It's a lot more fun when you get to actually, construct strategies with people and not always have to, kind of guess what other people are doing. Being able to talk to somebody over, whatever you're using to communicate, and then actually come up with a battle plan, and then what's going to happen.
These games can be brutal if you don't know what we're talking about. These games are brutal if you don't have any like help or anything to go with it.
Yeah, being able to play together was one of the main reasons that I really liked League. As well as kind of, it's also consistent, so it's not like every time you play you have to learn something new. Really, it's once you kind of get the understanding of how the game works, you can understand every game that's kind of going to happen. Unlike some games where you might not know what to expect every game, because every game's different. So that's kind of some of the positive points that I saw about League. It does, to get really good at the game, it does take a lot of time and a lot of effort, but I mean,
depends on how serious you want to be about it. I mean,
so
there's some. That's why I do enjoy League a little bit more now than Dota 2, because it is easier to be a more casual gamer if that's what you want to do.
You will get yelled at, but
exactly.
You can be a casual gamer.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's a little more noob friendly, so to speak, but the ceiling and the floor for that game is much higher than it is for Dota, so that's definitely a positive. That's a good thing about it. And again, one of the other things I like about League of Legends is how each of the games can be so similar and yet so different at the same time. Because there's so many different variables. And so that's part of the strategy that goes into it, is trying to determine how these different variables are going to play out. Because do you know how many characters there are in League of Legends? There's like a bunch of different...
I think there's like 120 or something like that.
There's a ton of different characters, and so you can pick and choose 5 of those for each team. And so you can have a little bit of a different game each and every time you play.
And plus you get, items as you kill objectives and people and bots in the game, and then, that kind of adds variation too, because you could have one guy that one game, the same character could be, a very defensive player, and the next game be a very offensive player. So that kind of adds to the strategy. So you have to understand how characters can change depending on who's playing them and how they're playing them. So
I've been getting a lot into the esports aspect of the whole gaming too, and not just the competitive scene. Esports is basically trying to be like any other sport, any other competitive sport, and it's evolved into this entire like show and production and everything. You can go online and watch these people play these games, and that can actually be very exciting if you know what's going on actually.
So it always helps when there's commentators.
Exactly. There's commentators, there's production, there's all sorts of different things, and it's really growing. It's a growing market, and it's getting pretty huge now. And even these big tournaments that these competitors do will win tons of money for winning these tournaments, and it's definitely a very exciting scene that's growing.
Like a lot of them, like I remember World of Warcraft and League of Legends, they all have the people that win these tournaments for these games, they easily win over $1 million for just being on the team that won these tournaments. So I mean, that's already huge. like for example, this last League of Legends tournament that they had for their championships, they actually had entire, arenas filled with people, like completely packed, and they actually, one of the articles that I was reading this week was that they actually broke the world record for the most single men in a single place at one time. Yeah. And it wasn't even something that they were trying to do, so...
And we made it happen, Michael! Yeah!
So, I mean, these are just some of the things that are kind of changing even the perception of what kind of is a sport, too, because maybe
right.
in a couple of years people will be talking about games as if they're sports,
I think
video
so.
Games.
I think it's headed that way. It's growing, and it's a lot of fun to kind of be a part of that a little bit to some degree and to see it happen.
Yeah.
There were a couple of times where even you and I got pretty close to going professional with competitive gaming, because we did get pretty good at a couple of these different games that we talked about. And there were a couple of times where we did pretty well and kind of broke into the semi-pro or the competitive professional scene and everything. Those were definitely fun times. I think they say, though, that after you hit 26 is when you start to decrease.
You're no longer, your reflexes aren't quick enough.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm declining right now, so it's all downhill from there. So.
Well, it could just mean that people at that time realized that they should probably get a job or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's what it actually means. But anyways, from here, I think are there any games coming out that you are interested in that you talk about? I think for me,
I don't really have any.
Okay. Well, for me, Batman Arkham Knight is something I wanted to mention real quick. That comes out a little bit later this year. But that's something I'm totally looking forward to. I played the previous games. Not Arkham Origins, I think it was, but I played Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, and I love those games. And so I'm really looking forward to that game, and can't wait till that comes out.
Yeah, looks really sweet.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Another one. It should be pretty similar, but it looks like they're adding a lot to it, and they're even adding the Batmobile, which looks pretty awesome. So you can drive that around
be a lot of fun.
Gotham City, right? And so that should be a pretty cool game. Anyways, is there anything else we should talk about in regards to video games?
Not that I could think of. We'll go more into depth, though, in the future into some of these video games. We didn't want to do that too much for the first episode because, there's going to be a lot of different people watching, and we didn't kind of want to isolate those people from the very start. So we'll do that, when we revisit video games, and we'll also talk about some news and video games and more games that we think, are going to be pretty cool that are coming out. So.
Exactly.
That's all I have right now.
Yeah, some of these topics that we're covering are going to be so big and such broad topics that we're not going to be able to do it all in one episode, right? So for some of those types of episodes or topics that we're doing, we'll come back to them later on and delve a little bit deeper, or just talk about some of the newer stuff that's coming out, because again, that's something that's always changing, right? So there's always going to be new video games to talk about and stuff. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any suggestions or any comments, go ahead and leave that below in the YouTube comment section, or you could email us at craigtv@gmail.com.
Yep.
And I think that's it.
Yep.
So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks again, guys. See you later.